Piers, you're totally guilty. You're guilty. You're guilty. Because you support Donald Trump. Tried to murder Nancy Pelosi's husband, and he's like, it's so funny.
Cenk, you're going to have to learn how to control yourself. I know it's very difficult for you.
Nancy Pelosi's husband had an interlude with some bizarre gay lover. Trust me, that's wrong.
How many people did you have mowed down in Iraq, Eric?
Welcome back to Rattlesnake TV, guys. In this video, we're going to watch Candace Owens swiftly and savagely dismantle an unhinged and, quite frankly, embarrassing Cenk Uygur. This comes in the wake of the second assassination attempt on Donald Trump in 2 months.
This was the second attempt in your life in under 2 months. What do you make of that?
Well, there's a lot of rhetoric going on. A lot of people think that the Democrats, when they talk about threat to democracy and all of this, and it seems that both of these people were radical lefts.
Where a radical and very suspicious leftist decided to GoPro himself trying to kill the big mean orange man, the tyrant, as they call him.
I'm looking for revolutionaries. I'm looking for people who want to take this whole system down.
This is definitely evil against good.
So let's have a listen to Cenk's first rant.
Cenk Uygur, there's a lot going on. I mean, the news cycle right now feels slightly insane. You know, you've got Donald Trump nearly assassinated again, twice in 2 months now. You've got apparently Israel launching this extraordinary attack across the whole of Lebanon on thousands of Hezbollah terrorists and, of course, wounding and potentially killing as well civilians in the process. So there's a lot to unpack here. What do you make of it?
Okay, first of all, on Donald Trump, what do you want me to do? The guy did a coup attempt. He had fake electors, not even his own electors. You have your own slate of electors. He didn't use them because they said this is unconstitutional and illegal. You lost the election. And he said, all right, you can get in fake electors. Let's do a coup attempt here. Let's have them bum rush the Capitol. And then that'll create enough confusion that we can bring it back to the states and the Republicans will cheat for us. They even wrote it in a book. Then he said we should terminate the Constitution because he lost the election. So what do you want me to do, Piers? The guy hates democracy. He's a dictator wannabe. So, okay, should you shoot at him? Of course not. Any action that is physical like that or violent is a surrender in the intellectual field of debate and ideas. So it's a terrible idea, it's immoral, etc. But I'm not going to let up on Donald Trump for 1 second rhetorically, because he is a monster. And he tried to terminate our Constitution. He tried to steal an election. I've never seen anyone so despicable in American politics. And by the way, there's another reason why I'm angry at him, because I'm a populist. And he took populism and he perverted it to just turning into his own personal con. He's such a slimy con man. I loathe him. Everyone should vote against him. He's one of the worst people I have ever seen in politics, and I'm not going to let him terminate the Constitution or destroy this democracy.
You see, what I find extraordinary, Cenk, is you haven't even given it a beat since he nearly had his brains blown out on Sunday on a golf course, which came 2 months after...
Did he give a beat, Piers? Did he give a beat? Did he ever give a beat when he constantly talks about violence? Hey, if someone takes out somebody from with a stretcher, I'll pay the legal bills. Attack people. Oh, my political opponents, I'm going to jail them. I'm going to attack them.
Well, to be clear, well, hang on. To be clear, you're trying to equate him making a joke about maybe slapping or punching someone in a crowd who's abusing him with someone.
Can I make a joke about
someone taking an AK
Trump across the face?
Well, hang on, was somebody
Can I make that joke?
Was somebody
Can I make that joke, Piers?
Well, hang on, somebody actually shooting him on a rally stage and then very nearly shooting him on a golf course with an AK-47. Do you not see the difference?
So, Piers, those are terrible actions. So what am I'm asking you a literal question. What do you want me to just go?
Could you give it a beat?
Okay, now Donald Trump's a good... Hold on, let me finish the question.
On a human level...
Donald Trump's a good guy. Donald Trump loves democracy. Donald Trump... No, Donald Trump's still the same monster he was yesterday. So I hate that people are shooting at him. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. It's immoral. It's wrong.
Why would you be surprised?
I can't condemn it any stronger.
Why would you be surprised?
I'm not going to tell you that Donald Trump is a decent man
but Cenk,
when he's a grotesque human being.
Why would you be surprised that people are taking drastic action? Unhinged people with unhinged brains who are listening to constant rhetoric from people.
You didn't answer the question.
Well,
what do you want me to do? You want me to politically surrender, right?
I'm asking you a question. Do you not consider for a moment that within 48 hours you're still saying monster, demagogue, dictator, blah,
yes,
blah, 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 blah?
Because that's who he is.
Yes, but this is what is affecting...
So you want me to lie?
Yeah, because...
Tell me this.
Because,
do you want me to lie?
Let me finish. The shooter at the golf course, specifically in his recent social media posts, parroted Kamala Harris, saying that he was effectively an existential threat to democracy in America. You're doing the same. Does nothing make you pause?
You're insane.
Hillary Clinton's doing the same.
Trump does it 2,000 times worse.
Because you think he does it,
your
you
great
should do
idea
it too.
is Democrats shouldn't. Your great idea is Democrats shouldn't campaign against your beloved Donald Trump because some moron, mentally unstable guy took a shot at him. Okay, or two of them did. You know what? I can protect Donald Trump. Ban assault weapons. That'll protect Donald Trump way more than any of say nice things about him now that some lunatic took some shots at him. Here, let me be super clear. If you're on the left, I know the right-wingers love their guns and Second Amendment remedy, and they've been riled up to do violence nonstop. But if you're on the left and you do any violence, you are not one of us. You're a stupid person who does nothing but make a worthy cause look immoral with your insanity. Never do violence. Is that clear enough?
Or maybe when they constantly hear on the airwaves people like you and Hillary Clinton and others constantly depicting Trump as an existential threat to democracy in America.
Piers, you're totally guilty. You're guilty. You're guilty. Because you support Donald Trump. And Donald Trump has done 2,000 times worse, and you know it. You won't even run it on this show.
Okay.
You won't even run it on this show because Donald Trump, what he says is so much worse than anything a Democrat has ever said about him. So you won't even run it on this show. So that's it. Are you telling Donald Trump, you better shut up? You better not say any of those gross things that you always say. You know that he joked about smashing Nancy Pelosi's husband's head in with a hammer.
Yeah, and the truth
One
is,
of his
Cenk,
lunatic fans tried to murder Nancy Pelosi's husband, and he's like, it's so funny. Do you know that when they try to murder his vice president, he then turned around and said he deserved it? He's a psycho. And you defend him every day, Piers.
Here's the problem. You have no idea what I've said about Trump when he's done these things. If you had, you wouldn't accuse me of not talking about them because I always do.
Shut up?
Because I always do.
Are you telling him to shut up?
I want to bring in...
So, Cenk is such an unhinged baby that it is actually ridiculous. His loathing for Donald Trump has completely taken over his entire body and has caused him to activate into a toddler, throwing a tantrum after his mum has sent him to his room just at the mere mention of the orange man. And in this particular moment of time, Trump derangement syndrome is being highlighted in a way like never before. You guys may have seen that yesterday we posted a video of me going around LA and talking to all of the libs about why they're voting for Kamala Harris. And as much as I tried to hold it together, the responses I got at times about Donald Trump were quite shocking. Trump derangement syndrome is a very real and pathological condition. They all think of him and say of him that he is an incompetent tyrant, a dictator, a monster, and many other things that, if true, would be very alarming.
Donald Trump, and this is clear, I think, to everybody, besides his supporters maybe, is just looking out for himself. This is a power play. He wants to be king. We don't have kings in this country. We don't have dictators in this country.
So with that sort of rhetoric, and it's the kind of rhetoric that we hear from Cenk all the time, as well as the liberal mainstream media, how can we be at all surprised with what's happened? And if you're listening to this, and if you don't know any better, maybe you're an impressionable person. If he is all of these things, and when you weigh up all of the pros and cons, and if you think about the lives that will be saved if his evil plan is not allowed to come to fruition, then why wouldn't you eliminate the threat?
Strike me down with all of your hatred, and your journey towards the dark side will be complete.
But seriously, I don't blame commentators for things that people do, and I think that that's generally a pretty good rule. But there comes a point where it actually does become too much, where human dignity and empathy are completely thrown out the window, and where politics and the political conversation actually starts to rot your brain. And this is exactly what has happened to people like Cenk and other Democrats who, even after 2 assassination attempts, will not stop with the rhetoric. They just double down on it. And now on to the next part, where Candace Owens perfectly eviscerates Cenk by basically calling him a weak man. Before we get there, guys, don't forget to like the video. It helps me a lot with the very tough algorithms at the moment. And also subscribe to the channel if you're getting value. Let's get into it.
I want to bring in Candace Owens here. Candace, look, we're 48 hours after the latest assassination attempt, and I'm listening to another liberal who I respect, I've had Cenk on a lot on the show, absolutely losing his mind about how despicable Donald Trump is and what a threat he is and a danger and so on and so on. Exactly the kind of rhetoric that Trump has said he believes is fueling these people to try and kill him. What do you make of where we are with this?
What I make of all of this is that if you are going to legitimately tell people that someone is a monster, that somebody is a dictator, that somebody is literally Adolf Hitler, if you're going to tell people that this person is a constant threat, why wouldn't somebody try to eliminate that threat? That would actually be a sensible thing for somebody to do if they believe the rhetoric that is coming out of people's mouths. Now,
then
if
all
this
the
had
right
happened
wing
and
is
it was
guilty,
flipped,
including you, Candace.
Cenk, you just spoke for a very long time.
Let Candace finish, please.
You're going to have to learn to control yourself. Cenk, you're going to have to learn how to control yourself. I know it's very difficult for you, but you just had a very long time to speak and we were quiet. I promise you can do that. You need to sit on your hands, then you should do that. As I was saying, if this situation had been reversed and I had just watched somebody try to shoot Kamala Harris, I would be definitively saying how wrong it was. I would be saying to people that despite the fact that I do not want her to be president, of course, she is not so much of a threat that she needs to be shot. They don't stop this rhetoric because they do not want these assassination attempts to stop on Donald Trump. And I want to be very clear. The circumstance that we find ourselves in the West is one of remarkable privilege. And when you're in times of remarkable privilege, it creates actually an issue of having a lot of weak men, right? Weak men are the ones that are going out here like proclaiming that Donald Trump is a threat, proclaiming that Donald Trump is somebody that is a dictator because they've never had real conflict in their lives. And you're about to see that example right now, the difference in the demeanor between someone like Cenk and Eric Prince, who I greatly respect, and who is somebody who has seen real conflict and understands what real threat is, right? He understands real threat. Cenk is somebody that grew up, obviously, with a silver spoon in his mouth. He's never had to fight for anything in his life and has never had to put his life before somebody else's. So it's very easy for him to behave like this, to behave demonstrably like a toddler who is throwing his toys out of the pram when he doesn't get what he wants. And so he heightens his rhetoric and says, why am I not getting what I want? This man's a dictator. This man's a threat. And he's not being realistic. And it's embarrassing to our country, whether it was a person on the right or the left. You guys
haven't addressed it at all.
Cenk, I promise you are capable of controlling yourself.
He wants to terminate the Constitution, so you like that?
As somebody else speaks.
So a beautiful thing that we just witnessed, and Candace Owens could not have done that any more perfectly. Urging Cenk to control himself in the most relaxed way possible, which really does make him look a lot worse. In this situation, in a public debate, when you're dealing with someone like Cenk, who is completely emotional and unhinged, then there is nothing better that you can do than to just tell them, hey, please, calm down. Control yourself.
I promise you can do that. You need to sit on your hands, then you should do that.
And Candace mentioned weak men there. And when I think of weak men, I think of men that can't control their emotions. Men that get really triggered and irate about things that just don't warrant that sort of a response. And when I see these types of traits, I generally tend to think that these men would be pretty useless in times of true hardship. And they wouldn't be in the least bit dependable. They would probably just crumble. So Candace is right to subtly but quite directly point out that Cenk is one of these men with his petulant attitude.
Weak men are the ones that are going out here.
And this is one thing that Candace Owens does very well. She's able to put beta males in their place like few others, because she is a woman who has a lot of respect for masculinity. And you can tell that she's quite repulsed by this sort of childish attitude from fully grown men. And now on to the last bit, where if it wasn't bad enough already, Cenk really shows his true colors here in quite a disgraceful show.
Eric, what do you make of this debate, which is raging right now, in this debate now, about the rhetoric and the responsibility of people who are on the airwaves, who are in public life, to dial down the rhetoric?
Look, like the video clip you opened with, there's an enormous amount of apocalyptic language spoken by the left, saying he must be eliminated, he is Hitler, and that unleashes every left-wing crazy to authenticate themselves by saying, I'm going to be the hero. This guy, this Ruth guy on Sunday, who was there for 12 hours stalking Donald Trump with a high-powered rifle with a scope, with ballistic plates up against the fence. And what did he have up there? A GoPro. Why? He was trophy hunting. He wanted to be the savior of the left, to say, I'm the one that killed Donald J. Trump. Trophy hunting, Cenk, where people like you responding to words that you're putting out there. Why else would he have a GoPro?
No, he wanted to get famous. You're totally right about that, Eric. And I hate that. But the way that this whole thing has been framed as if the right wing doesn't do rhetoric that is 10,000 times more dangerous and violent over and over again. Trump's fans sent pipe bombs to every one of his enemies. Trump fans hit Nancy Pelosi's husband in the head with a hammer, and Trump never even denounced it. How sick is that? That he never even denounced it. He laughs about it. So if we were using the Trump standard, we'd laugh about him getting shot at. But I'm not as disgusting as Donald Trump is.
Nancy Pelosi's husband had an interlude with some bizarre gay lover. Trust me, that's wrong.
He wasn't on the right.
Oh, my God, I'm on here with lunatics. I'm on here with lunatics and conspiracy theorists. I can't believe he just said that. And you're saying that the guy who smashed Paul Pelosi's head in wasn't on the right? Is that what Candace Owens, the lunatic, just said?
Okay, just so you know, if you're going to call somebody else a lunatic, you shouldn't be behaving like one in the process.
When you say, Cenk, when you say these right-wingers are all nuts, do you understand the irony, given you just spent the last 10 minutes literally ranting?
Yeah, I do, Piers. So I am loud and aggressive because that's what the Democrats and the left wing need to stand up to lunatic bullies like this. Candace Owens just said that the attacker of Paul Pelosi was not a right-winger when he is a Donald Trump fan and a deep right-winger. And Eric Prince, the lunatic, had said that he was a gay lover of Paul Pelosi. A conspiracy theory so unhinged that how am I supposed to respond to it? You can't have a rational discussion with people who don't believe in facts and logic. Piers, are you agreeing with these two lunatics that he was not a right-winger,
you should have a little
and that
bit
he was some sort of gay lover of Paul Pelosi?
Eric Prince as a lunatic. He served our country. You should have a little more respect and decency.
Yeah, no, he's a mercenary and a disgusting guy, by the way. How many people did you get killed? Innocent people in Iraq, Eric. How many people did you have mowed down in Iraq, Eric?
You know, going back to your topic, Pierce, perhaps it's time to bring back 19th century behavior, which maybe we had a more civil society then. If people are going to throw all kinds of bombastic language, they do so because they do it without consequence. In the 19th century in the UK, people would call them out for a duel. It doesn't have to be to the death. It could be swords. It could be pugil sticks. Maybe that would make for a more polite society. I don't know. I'm ready to go there.
You see that, Piers? You see that? Who's the first to threaten violence? Of course, Eric from the right wing. Yeah, Whereas I denounce violence. I denounce it strongly and loudly, and you heard it with your own ears.
No, Cenk. There's a big difference between gratuitous violence and trying to blow a president's head off, for example, and a duel. And actually, I completely 100% agree with Eric Prince there.
Who is the first to threaten violence? Of course, Eric from the right wing.
He could not be more on the money. You see, beta males like Chunky Yogurt will throw these sorts of heinous insults around. They will call a United States veteran like Eric Prince a mercenary and basically a disgusting human being.
He's a mercenary and a disgusting guy, by the way.
And a mass murderer, and they will have zero consequences for it. In times gone by, you could not get away with this when men used to operate in a more face-to-face accountable way.
I challenge you to a duel.
I can absolutely guarantee you 100% without a shadow of a doubt that there is no way that Chunky could run fast enough to ever be able to say that to Eric Prince's face, because he would get twisted up like a chubby little pretzel. And as for the Paul Pelosi situation, I mean, the mentally unhinged man with the pride flags living in San Francisco. Total MAGA diehard. Really fits the description. So, as per usual, guys, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel. You can find my links below. And also, if you'd like to watch another one, right here. Till next time, I'm Jake. This is RattlesnakeTV, keeping you armed and dangerous.